Am I the a-hole for telling my younger sister I'm not her parent and don't owe her anything? I, 23 female, have 2 younger siblings. My sister is 16 and my brother is 14. When my parents had my sister, they approached my being a sibling as a job, and they stuck with that story for the rest of my childhood. They said it was my job to teach them things, to look out for them, look after them when needed. Then it was to help with homework, walk home from school and walk to friends' houses when they wanted to go. Then it was my job to plan and take them out for sibling time. It would be my job to always have space and time for them whenever they needed it. That, as the big sister, I owe them that, and my siblings were more than happy with it. When I lived at home, they always demanded my time or attention. I had to help with homework every day. And most of it is regular sibling stuff, but they came to expect me to drop everything for them the way a parent might. Like if they were struggling and I was in the middle of my homework, I had to stop doing mine to help with theirs. If I had plans and they wanted to go someplace, I had to cancel my plans. It's my parents' fault. But more than once, I tried talking to them about how I deserve to have my life and do my own thing too. And then I moved out, and I would get calls all the time from my family about it. Over time, my brother stopped, and our relationship got a bit easier. But my sister never changed. She would call and tell me she wanted to stay the weekend with me, or she wanted me to take her to a concert, or that mom and dad told her I was supposed to take her shopping, or that she saw something in the store and I had to buy it for her. I told her twice in the last 2 years that I was not going to drop everything and do what she wanted, and she needed to get better at asking for the stuff. When I spoke to my parents, they said it was my obligation as a big sister to do these things, so they were no help. Now, my sister got invited to some fake prom with her boyfriend because prom wasn't going ahead in her school this year. She calls and tells me she needs me to take her dress shopping, that she knows the dress she wants and everything, and that I need to bring $300. I tell her no. She ignores me and tells me they want to stay at my place after this prom, and that I need to give her a key to my place to make it easier. I cut her off and tell her no, that none of this is happening. She whines, and I tell her whining won't change it. She then tells me it's not fair, and that I owe her this. I snapped. I told her I am not her parent, and I don't owe her a damn thing. That she does not get to make demands of me because I'm older, because this is not some job like our parents always said. And if she can't accept that, then she needs to stop calling me. I'm the a-hole in this according to my parents and sister. Parents read me the rights act, or started to, but I hung up. They are still pissed 5 weeks later. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your parents, on the other hand, are. Look up parentification. They dropped their responsibility onto you. Your sister unfortunately has had this normalized for her, and this is still more on your parents than her. But she needs to have her eyes opened, and you giving her the truth on that is good for her and not being an a-hole. Exactly. Not an a-hole. Your sister needs to wake up and realize that technically she owes you, not you owing her. She needs to realize that what your parents did is not okay, and it may be best to go no contact with them all for a while. Your parents and your sister are major a-holes, expecting you to pay $300 on a dress. She's really entitled, and should get a job if she wants to spend that much in one dress. You know that you are not an a-hole. Draw the boundaries firmly and don't budge. You've been the third parent for far too long. Sounds like she was the only parent. Not an a-hole at all. But keep in mind that this was a horrible thing your parents did. Your sister simply grew up brainwashed into thinking it was the norm. Sit your sister down and explain everything. From the terrible job your parents did as parents, or lack thereof, and direct your anger and resentment towards the people who actually deserve it. Your sister needs to grow up, but I think that a thorough explanation is the best way to proceed, to see if she understands and hopefully changes. I explained it to her before and nothing changed. She carried on like I had said nothing. Because why change something that works to her benefit? Especially since she knows your parents will always take her side. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for shutting my sister out after she told our mom something I admitted to her in confidence? My sister, 15 female, and I, 16 female, lost our dad 8 years ago. 4 years ago, our mom remarried. Her husband came with 2 kids of his own, 11 male and 7 female, and they have a baby together, 4 months old male. I admitted to my sister a while ago that I hadn't been on board when our mom first told us she was getting married again, and that I really only accepted for her, but not for me. I admitted I don't love them or see them the same I see her, mom or dad, and that I will probably always be detached because this is not the way I would have ever chosen my family to me. But I don't want to ruin mom's happiness. I admitted this to her because my sister always suspected. She noticed differences. Remembered how I would always invite her into my bed when she had nightmares, versus not really doing anything like that if one of our step-siblings did. Or how I am affectionate with her, not them or our half-brother. And how I never really tell our mom's husband anything about me like I do mom. And how most stuff comes through her to him. She pressed, and I was honest. I told her not to tell them because it didn't need to be a big deal. She promised she wouldn't. Well, she told our mom. Pretty much everything. And then my mom decided the 3 of us, me, her, and her husband, need family therapy so they can figure out a way to get me to welcome them into my heart the way she wants me to. And now I'm stuck in family therapy with them trying to achieve a goal I don't want to achieve. And I'm so pissed off with my sister. She told me she did it so we could be one big happy family. And I told her she betrayed my trust, and she can never ever expect me to come to her again because I know she won't keep a promise to herself. She was upset. And now she's even more upset because I am not the same with her anymore. The way I look at it is, she broke my trust when I wasn't going to tell her anyway. But then she pushed and then promised to keep it, and she didn't. My mom told me I'm being mean and that my sister did the right thing telling her. She told me I should have been open with her so we could have done therapy together sooner. I told her I never wanted to go to therapy with them, and I didn't want this big deal being made out of it. She told me that regardless, I shouldn't shut my sister out, and it's hurtful and mean. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Your mother and your sister are for trying to force something. Take a try therapy and see if you can find a happy spot for you. And if it doesn't work, you need to show your mother that if she didn't realize for over 4 years, it means that you are respectful to the rest of your family, and you have preferences, and that isn't a bad thing. That's basically always been my plan. I would feel how I feel, but I treat them with respect and I never plan to tell anyone. I wish I hadn't now. I'm so freaking pissed about it now. I can't even trust my own sister. Make sure you say these things in therapy too. Might as well if they're forcing you to go. Let them know they have the basic level of respect from you and always will. Obviously they didn't notice for however long, so what's the difference now? And you were absolutely betrayed by your sister. Trust was broken, and now your mother can't even trust that you know your feelings better than them. Yes, the therapist needs to understand the whole picture here, how Opie's confidence was betrayed, and that's what led them to therapy. Because it sure sounds like her behavior was acceptable since mom and stepdad didn't suspect anything. So why are they there? If I were OP, I'd tell the therapist that, and maybe on the 3rd session just say in a monotone, I accept them into my heart. All good now? But I'm petty. Not the a-hole, but be honest in therapy. The therapist may be able to set your mom straight about not being able to force family feelings. No a-holes here. You're 16 and your sister is 15. I'm not going to insult your intelligence or maturity by pointing out how young you both are, but please keep that in mind. You sound mature for your age, and your sister sounds like a 15-year-old trying to understand the dynamic of what's going on and looked to her big sister. She was misguided and wrong for what she did, but not malicious. Your anger isn't wrong or not warranted, but use that advanced maturity for some perspective. Your mom and stepdad or whatever, deal with the therapy, but be clear that you don't want to be there. Your sister, on the other hand, deserves a hug and a talk about how you and her are a team and need to have each other's back. She didn't do something to hurt you. She thought with her 15-year-old brain that she was actually helping. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not forgiving my sister for stealing? My little sister, 16, has had her fair share of behavior issues throughout the past few years. She doesn't keep up with school, lies, and was diagnosed with depression and anxiety, along with everyone else in our family. Since the beginning of this year, her behavior has gotten worse. She's been frequently lying and doctoring stories, as well as doing illegal activities in and out of the house with zero consequences. A few weeks ago, she had called me and told me along with everyone else in family that she had bought me tickets to my favorite artist's concert in the fall. I obviously questioned it and kept telling her not to lie to me, but she insisted it was true, so I got very excited. 2 weeks. I later noticed that she kept buying very expensive items, such as a PC, new shoes, makeup, more electronics, etc., but I figured it was because she got a new job and was making better money. For the more expensive items like the PC, she told me it was a gift from a family member for her birthday, which was the week prior. She even went as far as to fake a phone call with said family member to thank them for such a wonderful gift. While she was having the time of her life, I was on a completely different path. A week before her birthday, my car's engine blew. I should note that I'm a college student who works minimum wage, and it would have been out of my price range to even try to afford a new engine, so the car got towed. I was devastated. My parents and my grandma decided to help me by getting some money together, about $6,000, and give it to me to buy a new car. About a week after I noticed my sister was buying these expensive products, I finally found my dream car. My parents and I went to grab the money from our safe to go and buy the car, when we realized about $3,000 was missing from the envelopes we put together. My dad immediately checked my little sister's bank account to find a $1,200 deposit via ATM that week. We also found receipts from purchases that she made with the remaining cash. When we confronted my sister, she said she didn't know why she took the money. I was, and still am, devastated that my own blood would steal from me. But my parents, more so my dad whose sister did the same thing, wants me to forgive her because she's apologized for it. I told him hell no, and that she has yet to apologize to me, and that I have no intentions in having her in my life when she's acting like this. My dad says she's going through a tough time and needs our help. So am I the a-hole? Edit. I want to add that as soon as my parents found out, we took her to return as much as we could. They were also devastated. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. She stole from you, hasn't even apologized or offered an explanation, and your dad is expecting you to just forgive her and move on? Has she replaced the money she stole? If they still have the receipts, they should make her return the stuff she bought, and then they could get some of the money back. But what do you want to bet their dad won't make her since she's going through a hard time? Not the a-hole. When your father continues to baby your sister, he is going to get even worse results. Sister needs to be put on a repayment plan, either through getting a job, chores, or some other way to pay off her debt. You have no reason to continue to enable a thief. This girl is on a path to stealing from someone who will either have her charged or will want their own revenge. You don't have to tolerate or forgive her for lying, stealing, etc. And yes, you can decide you don't want her in your life, especially if her behavior doesn't improve. If your dad wants to try to mend bridges, he should start by having her pay back the money she took and apologize directly to you. Telling you to forgive her without having her put in the work of making amends is pretty bad parenting in my opinion, and only sets her up to be unable to continue acting like this because there's no consequences, it sounds like. Did your parents punish her at all? They're both in a state of shock and they blame themselves. I don't know that they didn't hold a gun to her head and make her steal things. They stripped her room down to a bed, a dresser, and a light. Then they took her phone for a couple days and made her return everything she could. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for not giving my siblings half-sister a birthday gift? I, 18 female, have 2 half-siblings from my mom's former marriage. When my mom was married to their dad, he cheated and got another woman pregnant, resulting in their half-sister. Mom and her ex stayed together for 4 more years, but my mom ultimately couldn't get over it and they divorced last year. I always knew what the situation was and never bonded with her half-sister. So after my mom and her ex separated, my relationship with her was all but done. Of course, I expect to see her for certain things, but you know. Her birthday was a couple of weeks ago, and my half-sibling's dad got all pissed because I didn't give her anything. But she knows I get my siblings gifts. It seems they have brought stuff from moms to their dads, and have talked about the stuff I get them around her, and she was upset. He decided to call me up and tell me what I did was horrible. That to her, I'm her sister, and I should have made more of an effort to be part of her life. That I should love her, but at the very least, I should be willing to send her gifts for her birthday and Christmas. I told him to buzz off. That his daughter has nothing to do with me, and I don't need to do anything. He raged at my mom then because I refused and cursed at him. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Your only connection to this child is your former stepfather. How is this even an expectation on his part? If the child had been born after he and your mom divorced and wasn't the result of an affair while they were married, would he still expect you to give her gifts? He needs to GTFO with that nonsense. I know you meant your question rhetorically, but any dude willing to call his ex-stepdaughter to demand a gift for his affair child probably would demand a gift in other mind-blowing situations. He's just that awful. Not the a-hole. Does she give you gifts? You're not related to her at all. There is a connection, but it is not a family connection. It is on her parents to manage her expectations and make her realize that while her siblings have a connection with you, she does not. She cannot expect everyone she knows to give her gifts. Also, does your stepdad or even a child's mother still give the OP birthday and Christmas gifts? Seems like entitled people asking for ridiculous things. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Having exactly one parent in common is one thing. It has sparked many discussions and all manner of disputes. Having zero parents in common is another thing. Sure, you giving gifts to her would be a remarkably generous gesture, but she has zero standing to expect them from you. Not the a-hole. Not your infidelity, not your problem. Nobody can demand that you have a relationship with somebody. My sister has a half-brother, and while we are cordial, we don't ever exchange gifts or anything. We're not siblings.